I can't believe I didn't have the presentation mode already. Anyways, hi. Welcome back. We're doing Desolate PRs now for the season.
And make sure you watch the entire primordial video before you start watching this one.
Yeah, all the necessary lore's in there. give me more views, give me more content. Gotta boost up my YouTube analytics, you know.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's just get into it. So, like
oh, hey, this is still here.
Yeah, this is still here. It's still Desolate. Yeah, we finished a whole 2 hours behind, so yeah. Actually, is this music too loud? It probably is. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit. This is stinging the recording. Anyways, first team, at the bottom of our PRs is the bird team, Eager. It's like a government drone team. Like it's all birds. What do you want me to say?
It's more cohesive than the horse team, in my opinion. Like I feel like it's more usable, but.
I mean, I think the benefit of the horse team is that you had a greater type diversity, because you got things like a ground type of Mudsdale, you had like Dragal, which is like a seahorse, you get a poison type. You know, Glastrier. Oh, Glastrier's not really type diversity, but like Spectrier. You have more type diversity with the horse team. Here you have 7 flying types, 3 water types. So yeah, you don't really have as much type diversity from that, and because of that, you're just like, you have the weaknesses of being a flying type heavy team.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Napoleon really does everything. They don't need to say anymore. It's a bird team. I hope they win a couple games.
Probably will, honestly. I also like the Mega Alt is kind of like, Empoleon, Mega Alt, and Bundle have like all the useful typings here. I mean, I guess like having Terratorn T, like you do have a sort of like a wild card that you can use to like cover any type that you need. So I expect like a lot of Terra Ground Torn T, or like Terra Water, Terra Fire, a lot of that kind of stuff.
I feel like it has to be Terra Ground. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see how it goes.
Yeah. It'll probably want to fit a couple games just because there's so much Hurricane spam to switch into. So yeah, I think we can move on. Next up we have Cable. We both agreed that this is our 15th ranked team. Do you want to start?
Yeah, this team just gives me a headache because I don't know what it's either above or below my brainwaves. I don't know. It's just not hitting them. There's no vintage offensive fire type. I think we were actually talking about it on call the other night about how like it's random how you can just like get recognized for like a specific thing, and it's like it's probably not real for Cable in other leagues, but there's no fire type, which is odd to me. There's no speed at all on this team. Like there's a Zamazenta, and then the next thing's a Golbat, which is insane.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really see like a clear synergy between a lot of the stuff. Like maybe I'm just missing it. I just feel like it'd be nice to have like.
I think the idea
just
was
something
like,
obvious with like a snow abuser, or like just something more interesting.
I think the idea was like grassy terrain abuse with like Rillaboom. You get like the ground weakening for Goldengo or Charlodon, makes it more annoying for them to die. Train Burst with Mega Blastoise. And Glowking also likes the terrain softening. You have a bunch of mons that appreciate grassy terrain, but you're kind of reliant on it, where like your ground resists are just the Rillaboom and the Golbat. And it's like, yeah, you can bring both of them, but it's just kind of another annoyance.
Yeah.
I
think Go
ahead.
Yeah. I think the hazard setting's a little questionable. I feel like those top 6 are very bringable, and then like you'll have your moments for the other ones. Like everything here is decent. It's just like I don't know. I also see like you have Zama and Rilla, like the flying types. Like I don't know. There's not like a clear third thing. It's like, oh, that's there to kill the flying types. Like there's stuff that like Goldengo can, but like I think there's just a little bit of missing synergy that I would have liked to see.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think also, like, there's no Volt Switch immunity here, which is kind of unfortunate. Like, you can just spam that move and literally never get punished for it. Unless the Goldengo's, like, Terra Ground or something. But it's not really Goldengo's favorite Terra type, so it's just it's just not great. Yeah, also, like, the Golbat being the second fastest mon is just outrageous to me. Like, Yeah, you have priority for Rillaboom, but it's a fucking Golbat as your second fastest mon.
You can bring like modest anything above 100 speed, like anything above like 90 speed. Which is crazy. Like you don't have to respect this team at all, and that does definitely hurt some of the natural bulk if like you're running adamant or modest stuff into the Archilodon, like the Blastoise, like they're gonna get blown up quicker like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right, that's really all I had to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much same thing with me. All right. Next up we have Sky, and again we also agreed on this team being 14th. For me, like the top 3 of this team is pretty damn good, but it just feels like everything afterwards is just some varying level of mid, where it's like nothing's unbringable, but there's not really a ton of mons that you're like, yeah, I want to bring this to like 7-8 games a week, 7-8 games, you know. Like Infernape's not bad, but it's kind of power crept now. I've never really rated Togekiss. I've never really rated Bisharp. I think like Muck Rhydon are solid low tiers, but they don't really want to come to like, you know, that many games. And then a Flygon, like I see the vision with like Terra Flygon, and it does have like a lot of nice roll compression with like, you know, being a rock type that, you know, a ground type, immune to flying that has rocks and U-turn, but it's just its stats are just not great.
Yeah, I think that this team's just a little middling. Like, I think that the top 3, like you said, like, I don't know, when you have that top 3, the team could easily be a number 1 or 2 team if you fill the bottom half of it out correctly. And I just feel like this team, like, this is still usable. Like, I don't mind this team, but it's just like it's just kind of missing that extra threat, or like, I don't know, like the Terra Flygon, I feel like should be something different. But I guess that's the most you could get with that amount of Terra secondary points. I think it's just like you pick a Bisharp for 7 points, you pick a Mega Slowbro and a Togekiss and an Infernape, like a lot of those middling things. It's like it would be nice to have one more like 18 pointer, right? Like, actually, Gouging Fire is available. It wouldn't even be that bad here, but
True.
yeah, I don't know. I think this team's very usable, and it has like pretty good utility. Like you've got your good knock users and your screens and that sort of stuff. So I don't think it has a hard time. And like Magirna can just win games, so I think it's still a fine team. It's just a little weird. I think I said this about one of the Memorial teams. It's like I don't know which. Like there's not a clear top 6, but there's also like a lot of times where it's like, so this guy's a bad matchup, this guy's a bad matchup, this guy's a bad matchup, and you're like, your team's almost decided based on that.
Yeah.
With like these more middling mons, where there's less they can do to counterplay a poor matchup.
Yeah, I agree. Like it's nothing here is unbringable. It's just you could have done. I think there were better options available, and because of that, like it's just a lot of mid. That I mean, again, you have a Magirna, so it's never going to be impossible to win games, but I just think that it could have been supported a bit better.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's all I had.
That's pretty much all I have too. So again, we agree on the next team. I think our opinions for Desolate were a lot more aligned than they were for Primordial.
Yeah, I think our bottom 7 teams were exactly the same ranking.
Yeah.
And then like maybe some differentiation at the top, but it was pretty clear to me how these ones all stacked up.
So next up we have Mike, and I think that this is pretty typical Mike Jank. Like he tends to draft like these weird teams that they don't really make sense until you really start to think about it, and then it kind of makes sense. But I think here he has more tools to work with than like previous seasons. Just like Mew Blastoise are just like super versatile. They can be both offensive and defensive. You know, like you just have a lot of things that can do a lot of different things. And a lot of like the typical draft league buttons. You have good knockers, you have good hazard setters, you have good removal. Your terror users are pretty decent, good momentum. So like you have all the buttons to work with. I just think that you don't really have anything that's like, yes, I'm just gonna come in, click like a Specs Draco or like a Banded Earthquake or something like that, and just like force chip like that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there's like it's a crazy fast offense between Zeraora, Skyman, and Roaring, which is cool. I think you're gonna have to slap some bans on those guys, otherwise it's gonna be hard to really scare some of those bulkier teams that are out there. But I think it's a good team. I almost said it was sauceless. I think that I just don't really rate Terra's Aurora, especially as a round 1 pick. Like, I don't know. But like, there's a Mew, so you always have some versatility, and like you can always come up with something. Like, that's a good option to have there. I think Skyman, unfortunately, just kind of isn't as good because you can just run Cloak. And my thought was, like, if you run Skyman with like something else on the team, like you have Blastoise, so maybe they have to choose between, like, if they wanted to run Mirror or something instead of Cloak. Like, that's kind of an option there, but like it'd be nice to force some more item choices.
Mm-hmm.
There's no Ghost Resist, is there?
There's Roaring Moon. I think Roaring Moon's
no.
I mean, Roaring Moon's a pretty good Shadow Ball resist.
Oh, it does have. I didn't realize how much Spit it has.
Yeah.
That's actually surprising. For some reason, I thought it was Fizdef only. But, okay, so that's not the worst, but I mean, you don't exactly want to switch Roaring Moon in on shit all the time. So it's
like the
fine.
Ghost and like only having Copalion as a rock resist and Roaring Moon as a Ghost resist is like, it's not ideal, but I don't think it's unplayable levels of bad. Like, you're not stupid weak to those. Like, sure, you have like. Sure, you might have like three quote unquote rock weak mons, but like one of them's a Magmar, it's never really coming. Another is Skyman that, okay, that's kind of legitimate, and then the other is Terra Colossal, which I think is going to be abusing Terra more than Zero Aura, honestly.
Yeah, I have to think about how like Mike plays to think about which one's going to get forced more, but it's Colossal is a good Terra user, so I don't mind it. I think I did comment on the ground resists. Like, I guess it's just like, I think we talked about it on another team as well. Like, your ground resist is a Gligar and Skyman, I guess the Haunter technically, but like that's not real. So like they just hit you with an ice move and you're deleted. So like I think that's definitely going to come in.
Yeah,
like,
true. Mama coverage is a problem here.
Yeah.
All right, I can't think of too much else to say, so want to move on?
No, I mean I'm still excited to see this one. It should be a good team still.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot of potential here. Next up is MCCC. This is like a very much like I would draft this like 3 to 5 years ago, like Naga, Megaciz, Blacephalon, Gastrodon, Incineroar. Like that's the type of shit I would draft back then. And it's not a bad team. I think that like the Naga Lando combination is pretty good. Naga struggles a lot with like bulky poisons, bulky steals. And just Lando, obliterates all of those, so that's really nice. And I think Mega Scizor for like slow pivoting. You have a solid bulk core with like Screamtail, Gastrodon, Arboliva. I'm just worried that the team is a little one note in what it wants to do. Like, I've tried I've brought Screamtail with like booster speed, Calm Mind, and it's okay. It's not great. Gastrodon doesn't really do offensive sets too often. It has some sauce. Arboliva kind of all over the place. So like, I don't know. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I think like I'm looking at this one. I'm like, this one's probably the first one that I'd be like, okay, I don't mind this one. I could definitely use it. Like, Terrible Cephalon's funny, and I'm glad someone finally picked it because I want to see it just win a game. I think that there's a little bit like the ground resists are a little questionable. Like you said, but like I think I just commented with the bulk. Like, I think like when I last used Gastrodon, that thing just gets too get KO'd by its stuff. If you run something that can run mixed or like just has grass coverage instead. Like, if you run something that can run mixed, then like oops, you guessed wrong and it's physical instead of special and you lose, or like something like that. And it's nice to have like Terra to make them question whether they should click their HP grass or something like that. I think that Arboliva as well could also get overwhelmed that way. Screamtail's solid bulk, same with Scizor, so like I think you can get around it, and then like Incineroar is a real guy, so I don't mind that. I think Hitmontop sucks, and it always overpromises and underdelivers. But no, this team's pretty solid. I think it's just maybe not quite as threatening or cohesive as some of the top ones, but it's like super usable. I wouldn't even say that like you need to make a trade to make this like a good team. I think it's just it's just fine and it is what it is.
I think my only real other notes on it are the flying resist being the Electabuzz. Like, it's not a bad one-pointer, but that as your flying resist isn't exactly ideal. I mean, I think you have the natural bulk to like sort of compensate for it, but it's just something to be, something to note. And then I think also the offense is a little specially biased. Like, yeah, Lando can go physical, but besides that, like, Scizor is like your main offense, like main physical offensive threat. I guess like Technician Hitmontop or like Incineroar sometimes, but they're more matchup dependent, so I wouldn't put too much faith in those. So something like
that's a good point.
Something like a Chansey could be really annoying for this team, but I think that even then, like, you still have ways to play around something like that.
Just run physical Blacephalon. Easy.
True.
Yeah, I think this team should do well. Just kind of depends how they play around some of the weaknesses it has.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think we can move on. Alright, so next up is my team. I guess I can talk about it. Going into it, I was just like, yes, I want to, like, I didn't really know what I wanted to use, but I was like, okay, sure, I'll use Giratina again, and then I was like, I kind of built off of that. And originally I was planning on not getting the Terapagos, but I was like, it's still here round 4, so I'm just gonna get it, and then it kind of shifted my whole game plan around. And it kind of left me in like a mad dash to like fill out a bunch of other necessary types and utility that I just didn't really have, and I don't think I did the greatest job of filling it out. I do think like my offense is pretty strong, like Giratina, Mega Diancie, Terapagos, Iron Moth, Dialga. Like the top 5 really are just is a very strong offense. But my scarfing options are kind of not the greatest. It's really just Moth, maybe Terapagos, which isn't great. And then my pivoting is just pretty dog shit. It's just like Iron Moth and Lantern, really.
Yeah, I feel like this is the first time I've seen you get power ranked below like 6th, which is a new road to walk on. I just think that there's a little bit of like, it's just like something that doesn't quite always come together, but it still looks like, I mean, that's top 5 are really fun to use. I guess Tinkaton as well. Like, you can have your random Meganium or Golem matchup. Lantern might get some use out of. Like, Moth doesn't always need Terra. I know some people say it does, but I think it has its games where it doesn't need to click it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to have Lantern as it's a good secondary Terra user. I think it's holding on as a good like slow pivot if you need it, and like you got a lot of hazards. I think there's just no way to get rid of them really, which is unfortunate. Like I guess Pagos can spin them, but like that means you're sitting in on something and maybe losing your Terra Shell, which is unfortunate. But
Giratina does have defog, to be fair.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah.
That plus like magic bounce, so it's like it's not great, but I think it's not horrible. And as I've just more recently, I've just kind of realized like I don't care that much about like playing around hazards. If I find a chance to remove it, then I will. But it's not. I'm more willing to deal with it.
No, I think it's like, yeah, that's a good point. It's like it's not that big of a deal. I don't know. I personally never have been able to actually use magic routes on Diancie because like I feel like every time something's setting rocks, it's like a ground type that I am not willing to risk switching it on.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I think and like you have some good role, like you have some good utility still with like Tinkaton. I just don't think Scrafty's real. It's the same thing as Hitmontop for me. It looks like it has 3 good abilities. It has like really solid defenses. Like it has knockoff. It's like it looks like it should do something, and then I feel like every time I bring it, it just does not do anything.
Yeah, that's fair. I've never used it before, so I can't really say.
Maybe it'll have one less hater if you get to use it well. But oh, and then the ground resist is. Oh wait, no, there's a security. Yeah, doesn't matter. Never mind. I think this team is still very usable, and like you could definitely make a playoff run with it. Like it has its moments, and it'll maybe. I've found recently that I've realized that like when you have a better team, you don't have to think as much when you're prepping, like just because you have less things that are forced to do specific roles. But like when you have like a team that maybe has a couple known weaknesses already, you find yourself like not being able to run the sets you want, which it is what it is. Like you could still make a good season out of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think of this team like the game plan really is just like spam strong neutral moves, like strong Poltergeist and Draco from Giratina, strong Moonblast from Diancie, Starstorm from Tropicos, Sludgewave from Moth, like that kind of stuff, and just use that to get into a position where something else can win.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's nice.
Yeah, I don't think we need to talk too much more about this team. I think we can move on. So next up we have Necrowolves, and we both had this at 10th. This is a very interesting team, very committal to the Psy spam. Just like the entire top 3 is like meant to work with terrain. Then you have Tinglu P2 for like just the bulk. Cortana is a great Terra user. Yeah, it's really hard to switch into. My concern with it though is that even though you're a Psy spam team, your fighting resists are kinda not great. Like, I don't like Deoxys is not a resist, Sneaselure is not a resist. Lele is like your only real resist, like I guess Mantine, but it's like barely real. I think Cortana wants to Terra more often than not, and then like your fat core of Tinglu P2 is also weak to fighting.
Yeah, I think that there's a few defensive weaknesses that could definitely cause some problems for this team, which are not going to be solved by picking a good Terra type on Mantine, because it's just not real. But I think that I don't like the Mega Absol. I just don't think it needs to be there. I think it should be something else that covers one of your weaknesses, like fighting resist, fire resist, fairy resist, bug resist. Like, you just need something else so that people don't feel as free bringing those into your team, even if you don't bring it that often. Like, it's just nice to have.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, like the game plan of just like eat some hits with Ting and P2, and then just like drop in a Deoxys attack or a Lele or like a Sneasler, even Cortana, like all of those can just like snowball and win games. So I think it's going to be an exciting one to use.
Yeah, it looks like a fun team to use. It's just the game plan is I think it has just a lot of points of failure, and thus it has like a somewhat low margin for error, even though like Tinglu P2 are pretty solid safety blanket mons. So it's just
you're definitely falling back on them a lot.
Yeah, it's just something to keep an eye on, really. But I think it's still capable of winning a lot of games, so I wouldn't be surprised if it makes a deep run.
Maybe someone can finally do it with Deoxys attack.
Yeah, maybe. I can't think of too much more. I think the team mostly just speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Alright, so next up we have Orin, and this is where we have our first disagreement on overall ranking. You have his team 9th, I have 8th.
Yeah, go ahead. I
think
you might appreciate it more than I do, but I still like this one.
Yeah, so I think that the vision here is really just like a Zygarde kill leader farm team. Like everything here just seems like it's made to get the Zygarde into kill leader. Like you have Samurott providing a lot of spike support, you have like good pivoting with like Pecharunt, Samurott, Mega Lop, Crown. You have a big breaker and like cleanup and Revenger and like Enamorus and Mega Lop. You have like Pecharunt, Rotom-Heat, Crown, like they all have like a lot of nice resistances while also providing pivoting, so you can get Zygarde in safely. I think another button clicker mon that just something else that can like whittle things down, so you're not so you're maybe like getting like 60% chip instead of like 20-30% by like spamming flip turn, volt switch, U-turn, that kind of stuff would be nice. But yeah, I think that it's really just like a Zygarde farm team, and I think it's pretty good at doing that.
Yeah, no, this is a good team. I think I had this higher, and it slid down a little bit after I opened the prep doc and saw some of the stuff that I wish it had. I just think that, like, I mean, the hazards are all at the bottom. Like, you were like, oh yeah, I need rocks, and you realize that after, like, round 8, which is round 7. Like, it's a little concerning, because I don't know how bringable those guys really are, especially when you have such a strong, like, top 6. I think that like the scarf department is an Emrys, and then like I don't know, I don't really like scarf crown, and then like that's
Scarf
kind of it. So if you want,
Samurot's okay.
yeah, it's alright. So I guess like my problem is like you run something that's like faster than base 100 scarf, and it's like okay, I guess you're gonna spam E speed and fake out and stuff. So it's like it's definitely a weakness that you can overcome, but I could see that being annoying for this team. That's not like it's not super fat, so like if something is scarfed, it doesn't necessarily lack the damage to get through some of these guys with the right coverage. I think the removal's a little rough when you're trying to pivot around as much as you are. Would be nice to have something that could do that a little better. But yeah, and I think you're gonna have to slap some AVs on like Crown and Samurai, which is both of them are great sets, so I think that's not as big of a deal. But like on the Spit F side, you're not doing the best. But I do like that this team. I don't feel like it really forces that like a specific Terra type on Zygarde. Like it can kind of.
I agree.
It can kind of run whatever it wants, which is like that was my problem with the Zygarde team in the other division. Is that the Zygarde was kind of stuck covering defensive holes, but I don't think that's really the case here. So it can kind of run whatever set makes sense to do the most damage, which is cool.
Yeah, I think really just like the rock, like your hazard setting is really just Samurott, and like spikes are really good in Gen 9, but I think like having rocks would be nice too, mainly for things like Land T or stuff like that. But I think overall it's still a good team, can still win a lot of games. I see the vision, and I like the vision. I just think that there's some things that it could be a little better on it. So yeah, I think we can move on. Next up, we have Arrow. This is a team.
This team got drafted. Yeah.
All right. Moving on, we have Zeb. This is the team that I think we disagreed the most on. I guess you can start with it.
Interesting. Yeah, I think I like this one. I think that just like the top two are really fun, and then they can pivot in for like you have a good slow pivot with Slow King. I think that like maybe I rate Slow King higher than I should, but it does have a little bit of a jank, to be honest. I feel like Zeb actually should have done more of his pivot rod, but I don't know. There's just something this team has to it that seems like it'll work to me. Like round 2 Masquerada is criminal. I just think that that's a round 1 mod now because I keep taking it round 1 places. It just fits on every team, and I think that like this team does have most of your roles filled, which is a nice thing that a lot of other ones don't have. Like it has decent utility. I guess it doesn't have screens, which I don't know if it necessarily needs, but
I don't think it needs screens. You're bulky enough. I think you're bulky enough to get away with it. To get away without
like
screens.
you're bulky enough to get a good setup move off on Garchomp or something else anyway. But I don't know about the random snow option. I feel like you could have picked a better snow user, but probably not for the amount of points that you had. And like I don't know about Dunsparce without Terra. I feel like it needs Terra, but
I don't think Dunsparce needs Terra. I think the low tier. I like the low tiers. I think they're fine as is. I think the physical offense is really good here. Just where's the special offense? Like your best special attacker is fucking Slow King, or I guess like mixed Chomp, mixed Blaziken. Like mixed Blaziken isn't bad, but as your only option, it's a little sus. Just like a lot of like Fizdef things can like just kind of sit here and be really annoying. But it's your physical offense is strong enough to like I think that you can overwhelm things with it. Removal. I think your removal's fine. Your hazards are fine. I think it's really just like where is the special offense? Like something to just break through like all these bulky Fizdef mods, like a Great Tusk, or I don't know what else would be a good example.
I feel like it's nice that Meowscarada can hit like everything super effectively, so
That
it's
is
not
true.
as big of a deal. Like that's the thing that I see is like it can pretty much always hit something super effectively, so it's not as big of a deal that like they're always going to be able to run Fizdef on everything because you can kind of just like hit knock, hit it super effectively with something. Like it
Yeah, that's
always does
fair.
something damaging. And like Melm is always, I mean, with Terra as well, you can just Terra Steel and hit the funny move as well. So I don't know. I think this team will do pretty well, to be honest. I guess like
Yeah,
the Trick Room angle is kind of fun too. It's Low King Melm, like that's a fun one.
yeah, I can agree
Yeah,
with that.
I
I
don't know.
think that it'll do well. Zeb's a good player, so I'm confident he'll find ways to cook with this. It's just I think he's drafted better teams in the past, but I think that this is probably a more fun team in my opinion, even with its jank.
It has more aura, which is
Yeah,
really what counts.
true, true. All right, I think we can move on to Cinna, who we have next. Um, I think this is a pretty funny and somewhat unique team. Like it's semi-terrain spam, semi-rain spam, and like they both kind of complement each other pretty well without being reliant on either mode. Cinna just keeps on drafting like Treads, Pidgeot, and Slowbro everywhere. I swear, those are like Cinnamons now.
I like this guy. We all like, oh, he's gonna draft Zamazenta. It's like he drafts Slobo every time. I don't know what to say. Uh, this is a cool team still. Like, yeah, I don't really like Polytoad, but like it works. It fits the game plan here. I think um, your opponent is not really gonna be able to take advantage of like the ground weakness that you have because you have rain. Um, so that definitely helps out there. I think that this team, like, it's all button clicking, so it doesn't really matter about a lot of the other stuff that it does. If you can just like pivot around and get yourself into a position where you can click a button with Dracovish or win with Valiant at the end game. So it's not
Mhm.
bad at all.
Yeah, I think not being reliant on either of your gimmicks is really nice. Like, yeah, terrain is nice here, but you don't need it to win. Treads and Valiant are still perfectly good on their own. The rain option is nice, but like, oh, your rain mons don't really need it to be bringable either. So I think that gives you just a lot of extra flexibility. Speed here, speed is great. Has your hazard setting is a little light, but like they're pretty reliable what they do, so you're fine with that.
Yeah, and I
Removal
feel
is
like you
fine.
can make up with that. You can make up for that with like Coco and Pidgeot being fast and just getting damage and getting out before you get hurt is like a
Hmm.
decent way to get chip as well.
Yeah. Um, you might be I guess you're a little weak to ground spam, but like Tangle's a pretty bulky ground resist. Slowbro can take those hits fine. Air Balloon Treads is not uncommon, so it's not you're not screwed. You're not completely screwed over by like a banded EQ, you know.
Now I am seeing that Specs Earth Power on the other hand is a bit more of a concern. Like,
Yeah, that's
there's
true.
not really anything with Spadef on this team. Uh, like to take an unresisted Spadef hit, like the highest thing is like a Polytoad and like a Bastion, but like you're not bringing that every game.
Hmm.
So that could be a bit of an issue, but like it's an offensive team that likes to play on the front foot and click the buttons, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I think it has a lot of buttons to click that can force a lot of weird prep from people.
Yeah.
Scary team. I think we can move on. So next up we have Black, and again, it seems like this is just what he does in every league is just draft the most auralist team of all time. But it is a good team, unfortunately. Um,
I think I popped off when this guy lost last season. Like genuinely. This has no aura.
like I think my biggest critiques is that like your ghost was like it's just a fundamentally like solid, very boring team. My critiques is just like your ghost resists are barely real. Like I don't respect Pyroar. Mon is like not great, and then Skuntank is like bringable, but it's just an okay low tier. It's nothing crazy. And then it's also just it's a really fast team. Um, it's not really a complaint though. It's just is.
Yeah, I think it also is deceptively fast because there's a Sceptile and a Pyrover.
True, true.
Um, which like maybe you could get another rocker instead of that. I think there's there's a bit of utility that you'd maybe rather have, but I don't know what that's the thing I said is like this guy plays the most long, drawn out, boring games where he's gonna sit there and poison heal Gliscor in front of you and Zamazenta in front of you, and that Articuno that just sits there and just exists in a Florges as well. There's no hazards when you are forcing switches around to take advantage of that. That long game, which is a little frustrating. I think Mega Ampharos is funny. It's cool there, but I don't know. I think obviously Spectre and Palafin together can do a lot, and are good win cons to have in the back after you play a 50-turn game. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't. There's no aura. I can't put this very high.
Yeah, it's a good team. Would I use this?
But...
No, I would not use this at all.
Yeah.
But I have to respect that, fundamentally it's just a pretty sound team, besides, I think you would want another hazard setter besides Gliscor, because Gliscor's great at doing that, but, it also wants to do other things. So, just kind of whatever.
You should draft Orthworm instead of Sceptile. It has more.
Yeah, true. Alright, I think we can move on. Next up we have Hoodbun, which is kind of the opposite, where I think this team has a lot more aura. To begin with, Genesect, Lando T. Really just the top 6 is insane, but it comes at the cost of your bottom tiers being pretty shit. But yeah. I think that's fine.
I would draft this. I put this third. I mean, I have 3 of these Mons this season. The top 6 is just nuts. I think that you just kind of miss the ball on the lower guys, but it doesn't necessarily matter as much if you can play correctly with those top 6. You're gonna have to think of more defensive Terra Victini, or more defensive Lando more often than you like, just because of how this team is. Nothing really lives a long time either. So I don't know. I would love this game because I love just playing super fast, click a pivot move, then you have Mega Glade in, click another move, switch out, either sack it or pivot back in. I think this is going to be a super fun one to use, but there could be a little bit more utility from the bottom guys for sure.
I think the bottom guys are fine. I think they all serve their roles. Aromatisse is a somewhat bulky mon. It can give get Wish Pass to Victini or Lando, so you get more use out of it. You can play a little bit more recklessly. It's not totally passive either. It is immune to taunt, which is nice for a pretty passive Pokemon. Porygon is there for the ghost types. Leafeon is there for the ground types, because you have a pretty notable ground weakness. And then the Dougie, I can't really defend the Dougie. Yeah, you need a flying resist. It's not really a flying resist. I just don't really know what it's doing here. I think it could have been a different one-pointer that would have been a bit more helpful, a Carcool or something. But otherwise, I can't really complain too much about this team.
Got a giant speed gap.
Yeah, there's from 91 to 3. That is huge. Yeah, that's a good.
Not that it matters that much because you're fast. You have so much pressure on something that is a base 80 or whatever, a base 90 that's running adamant. I guess something like a Rillaboom could be annoying.
Or a Raging Bolt. Raging Bolt could be a massive pain in the ass here.
Yeah, one of those ones that can run, something that has priority that's slow. Because if it doesn't have priority, it's getting blown up by all these things that are faster than anyway. A Scissor or a Raging Bolt, that type of thing. Always being able to run, attack boosting nature could be bad.
Yeah, I think otherwise though, it's a really strong team besides that. I mean, I guess you also have Trick Room Victini's not a bad set either. And you can kind of it's a nice way to flip around your team being so fast. So just something to keep an eye out for.
Yeah. Oh, this is, by the way, this is in a 3-way tie for second.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, do you want to move on to our next team for the tie for second?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's Griff's team. This team has a shitload of momentum, a shitload of pivoting, and I think everything here just kind of works out pretty nicely. Like, I see the vision with all of it. You got some pivots that are not too passive. You have some good offense that complements each other pretty well. Like, Ogerpon struggles with like bulky steel types. You have great steel killers. Chiyu struggles with like bulky dark types. You have Pheromosa for that. Pharaoh hates like bulky poison types, bulky flying types. Chiyu Rockpon can kind of blow through those. So I think everything here just works out pretty nicely. My only concern is just like water plus ice coverage is pretty good here. Because mainly because your water resist is Appleton and it is still weak to ice even with thick fat. And cheese not really a nice resist, so bulky waters can be annoying to switch into.
Yeah, I feel like maybe Appleton's a better Terra user than Aurora's, but I don't know how that affects the budget. It's probably out of the budget. But I mean, Corner Pond is going to use it anyway, so that's not that big of a deal. This is my favorite team in this division. I don't think it's my favorite team overall, but I just like, I've spent so many times trying to figure out how to put Chiyu on a team, and this feels like one that might actually work. Like, you can actually pivot it in well, and like, you can, Azelf's is solid, like, you can just lead Azelf, you can get screens up, you can get rocks up, you can, like, you're not passive at all, you can threaten stuff. Corviknight and Swampert have, like, pretty good defensive synergy between the two of them, and you got, like, Fez and Silvally to kind of patch those other holes, but then they can also just pivot right back into your Pharaoh, Chiyu, Corner Pond. You have, like, pretty good hazards, to be honest. Like, I think that, like, you'll always be able to get rocks up between Swampert and Azelf, and then, like, you get some spikes on a Corner Pond when you force switches, and really good ship with Pharaoh, so I think you're going to get a lot of stuff in range for Chiyu to rip through it. I think this is a really good team. I think that I'm just, like, very happy for Griff to have a team that is not, like, 15th in the power rankings.
Yeah.
Because it's been a while, and they usually draft something that's supposed to end up like this that doesn't quite end up like this. And I think that this has a lot of support and a pretty good amount of utility. I think maybe one more thing with Prankster, but I think if you actually get used to the Terra Auroras and get some screens up, like Aurora Veil up for yourself, it could be a fun team to use as well.
Yeah, I think overall, like, there's very little to complain about with this team. Like, everything just makes a lot of sense. I had this 4th. It's still a really good team. I just think that the other teams are a little bit better. Like, they just have a little bit more power, which is something I like. But again, that's more so just like I like to play with like a lot of like strong, bulky hitters, and the offense here is a little on the frail side. But it's still a really good team, and I think that the offensive pieces that are here are really well supported. So yeah, it should win a lot of games, and I'm happy for Griff to draft a team that I think is pretty agreed upon to be pretty good.
Yeah.
So I think we can move on to our oh yeah, this is the last team, the tie for second. It is Stark's team. I'm pretty high on this team. I think the hazards are good. I think the removal is great. I think that you have a good, solid, classic, like, bulky offense, like a good, solid, bulky core in the back that isn't too passive. Like, Aggron's Heavy Slam's hurt, Sylveon Hyper Voices are pretty strong, Moltres is not passive, and has momentum, strong offense. Yeah, it's just a very solid, well-built team. I just don't rate the Lycanroc, because I think that bond is shit.
Yeah, I think my first thought was this is like classic, like Mega Aggron Sylveon among Us. Could like, I remember those back in like early Gen 7, Gen 6, like those, everyone would be like, this is the #1 team because you have that. Times are a little different. Moltres is super good here as well. I just like really rate it highly. I think something like an offensive fire type like can kind of beat that Mega Aggron Sylveon Among Us type vibe. Even like a Arcanine can just like be annoying here. But but like, it's still obviously still a really good team. I think the top 4 are super fun. Like, you can kind of have pretty good positioning to move your Shinpao in. The last 2, I agree. I don't know about the Lycanroc. I don't really know about the Kecleon either, to be honest. And I think that you could struggle with big bulky waters, or like have to do something specific with Quackable to beat them, which is a little annoying.
I kind of mentioned, like, I think spikes are kind of good here because mainly just because like Mega Aggron, Sylveon, mainly to break down like the Mega Aggron, Sylveon, Amogus core. And then like Powell, Quackable, they don't mind running boots too often, but like you kind of also want to run other items on them. Same thing with Sandy Shocks. And then I don't remember what I was saying when I said Quack has to kind of do a lot here. I think it had something to do with like, it's like the I feel like it's like your main form of removal. It's one of your main forms of pivoting. It's like your main form of item removal. Something like that.
Oh, that is true. It's the only knock user because Kecleon's not real. So that's also, that can be a bit annoying. Like the fact that everything gets to run leftovers against this team is like a little annoying.
Or like resist berries to deal with like the power Lottie.
Yeah, I actually don't think I mentioned that in the last video. That there's a couple times where it's like, oh, you don't have any knockoff, you can just cheese someone with a resist berry, and like no one will be the wiser. But no, this is still a really solid team. I think it's everything except the bottom 2 are very bringable.
I mean, hell, even I don't hate the Kecleon that much because it's just one of those like cheese mons that I've tried to make work in the past, so I respect the effort. I just don't rate the Lycanroc at all. I don't think it's a good mon. I guess it's like it's an okay suicide lead, but like that's about it.
Yeah. No, I'm excited to see how this one does. I think it's a cool team.
Yeah, I think it's a very solid team. And I think that means we can move on to our top team, which is Quinn. I have this team as my favorite team. I think that just the offense works really well together. What does a Great Tusk struggle with? Bulky flying types. You have the arrow for that. What does Darkrai struggle with? Like bulky dark types. Tusk murders those guys. What does Ogerpon struggle with? Bulky grasses. Arrow fucks with those. What does Arrow struggle with? Bulky steels and grounds. You have Waterpond for the bulky grounds, Tusk for the bulky steels. So, like, just the top 4 works really well together, and then you have you also just like have a whole ass Prim alongside that for strong Moonblast. Jirachi gives a lot of great support here, and then I think the low tier is also just really solid. Weezing can come to a lot of games. Rotom can't come to too many games, but when it does come, it's generally pretty annoying in my experience. Just like spamming T-Wave, Willow, Status, spamming Volt Switch just being annoying, and then Glenn the Earthstring is a great status absorber that I think this team really appreciates.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really good team. I think I'm getting deja vu because I'm pretty sure Rage also has Tusk, Jirachi, and Prim, if I'm remembering correctly, from the other division.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that I had a little bit of an issue with that defensive core, just because it's like they do have like their weaknesses that like you can try like if you blow up Tusk with a special move when they don't expect it, or like Jirachi and Prim have like because of their dual typings have weaknesses that you can hit. I think that they might struggle a little bit with longevity, but overall they're still good, and I mean you have that offense in front of them that does really well. I think maybe a little bit more momentum would have been nice.
I mean, I think all the momentum mons here don't really mind clicking momentum moves. Yeah,
that's true, I guess. Does Rapska get teleported?
I have...
I don't think.
Maybe?
I don't even know anything. I don't know anything about it. Not that you're ever bringing that thing, but... I think that, like, you're gonna have to make a few doubles to put them in the position that you want them in, which is fine. But, like, if someone else bolts off of you, or like U-turns off of you, and you're in on your Prim against their Coco or something, like could be a little bit of a concern. Like they could definitely, another team could run around on this team momentum wise if you don't get your doubles right. But like offensively, it's really solid. I think the revenge killing is like it could be a little better. I like because Ogerpon's item locked and Darkrai as a Terra user, probably doesn't really want to run Scarf that often. Same with like the way that this team is built. Jirachi probably doesn't want to, but you have like decent enough bulk that you probably don't have to worry as much about it.
And I think Arrow is also a pretty good range killer a lot of the time.
Yeah, that's true. I guess like you need to be faster than base 80 at +1, so to even be faster than it, so it's not the worst. No,
Yeah.
I mean really solid. It's the top team for a reason.
Yeah, I think Quinn can do well. Although he seems to be typically snake bitten in CDLA for whatever reason, so maybe he can finally break that curse and do play as well as he can in other leagues.
Yeah, hopefully it happens.
Yeah. So just a quick summary of how the rankings broke down. We agree on the bottom 7, and then afterwards it gets a little bit more jumbled up with the top 9 teams, really.
But yeah, I think I said the same thing for Primordial. Like pretty much everything, other than those last couple teams that I don't necessarily love, like that pretty much everything else is usable. I mean, I do love the birds actually, so never mind. It's just like I wouldn't necessarily use them though.
I think everything everything but the bottom 2 teams, like I can see them make playoffs with it. Even then, like the bottom 2 teams, like I can still see them make playoffs. I just think it's a bit more. You have a lot more work to. You have a bigger hole to dig yourself out of, just because of the limitations of the team. Yeah. But I wouldn't be surprised because Cable, I know, is a competent player, and then Eager snuck in a lot more wins than expected with the horse team last season. So, there's definitely something there.
For sure. I think that this is probably one of the strongest ever rosters we've had, like especially with the drafts as well. And like it also does help that like I feel like whenever there's like a couple gimmick teams going on in the same division, it ends up that like the bottom 2 teams are gimmick teams, and then like there's a couple that just like get away with shit that they should not get away with, like which I feel like hasn't really happened as much this season. Like with just the overall level of the players, like there's not too many things that are falling way too far down the draft board.
Yeah.
That shouldn't. So, I mean, Urshifu 0-for-4, literally none of them drafted, which is crazy.
Mega Absol's 2-for-2, but Urshifu's 4-for-4 or 0-for-4.
Yeah, but and Houndstone didn't get picked up, which is crazy. But yeah, there's no Blood Moon in this division either.
So, no Blood Moon. Hurum didn't get drafted in either division.
Nobody touched the bait Terra Volk in either division either. Yeah. No, it's still interesting. Oh, and no one Terra. Well, there's a Zerd in the other division, but it's not Terra.
No Bolt picked up either. Oh, there's still a lot of good mons on the board in both divisions.
Yeah, I guess there are a lot of good ones on the boards, but everyone still came out with a solid team, which is like really nice to see.
I think that's kind of the beauty of CDLA is just like there's so many. I think it's really hard to build a straight up bad team in CDLA unless you're doing like a gimmick and purposely restricting yourself, just because there's usually ends up just being a bunch of good mons left over.
Yeah, you can always pull something together, and I think this season, I think the biggest thing as well is like there's a decent. I feel like in old CDLA seasons, there's like the same like there'd be like 4 of us that like I want Vic and Wolf, like that type of thing. There's a bigger variety in the player base as well to like pick up all the different play styles, and like everyone ends up with a solid team.
Yeah.
No, I'm excited for the season, and I can't wait to watch none of the replays.
I'm excited for the season.
I actually do watch them.
I mean, I also watch all the replays here because I'm the one inputting into the doc most of the time. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the season. I think it should be a good one. Very competitive season. Honestly, like
if anyone joins, just know that I'm cursing you publicly, not even just privately.
I think in memory, this might be one of the strongest seasons we've had. Like, I'm just trying to think of like when the last time we had like such a strong roster of coaches. Maybe like season 12, but it's been a long time.
That's what I was thinking as well, but it's been so long that I don't even remember. I feel like maybe we were all bad then. Who knows?
I don't know. Yeah, looking forward to the season. I think I don't have too much more to say.
Yeah, thanks for
watching.
Listening to our PRs.
Make sure to like and subscribe and share this video for friends and do all the YouTube bullshit. I actually don't care. Just I hope you
write a handwritten letter.
Venmo me money, please. I'm unemployed.
I'm not going to tell you my address. You just have to figure it out.
Yep. All right. Have a nice night. Bye bye.